Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of the podcast. I am joined with an amazing guest, Dr. Deeksha Malik. Dr. Deeksha is a hands-on leader with deep expertise in AI, data sciences, big data, machine learning, deep learning, statistical modeling, and customer data analytics. She has worked and held strategic and technical leadership roles at Fortune 50 companies with a strong ability to bridge technical depth with business acumen and for her strengths in stakeholder management, strategic thinking, servant leadership, and driving innovation through data. She holds a doctorate in business administration with a specialization in AI and data science from Rennes School of Business, France, as well as both bachelor's and master's degrees in statistics from the University of Delhi, India. She's a passionate advocate for continuous learning and effective communication. Deeksha is also a distinguished Toastmaster who regularly mentors professionals in public speaking, leadership, and communication, reflecting her dedication to both personal and community growth. I am pleased to be joined with Dr. Deeksha today on this episode of the podcast. So without further ado, let's get into it. Dr. Deeksha, how are you today?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for inviting me for your podcast. I'm doing well, thanks. How about you? How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for your time and coming on today's episode of the podcast. I'm sure you have a lot of insights that you would like to share, and I am excited for our discussion. And I'm sure my audience is eagerly excited to know what you have to say, considering your detailed introduction and your experience, which we will get to in today's episode.
The honor is totally mine. Thank you so much.
So I mentioned in the introduction about you, but can you please tell the audience a bit about yourself?
Hi again. So I think you have covered a lot about me. In my words, I am a learner. I am a keen learner and innovator in many things. Since day one of my college, I have been learning about how things are done, why things are done, etc. as well. So, in one word, a keen learner, or another word, keen innovator as well, using data, tech, and AI. That's what I'm doing. This is something I want to add in the introduction, what you added to me. Yeah.
Like we mentioned in the introduction, we talked about AI and data science and your specialization. But speaking about you, when did you first learn about data science and AI, and how did you go about developing your expertise in this field?
It's a very good question. Like I just mentioned that actually AI was always existing. At least when I was born, it was it should have been there. But how did I learn about it? How did I go about it, developing my expertise in the field? I have seen this field growing and evolving since the day one of my college. I started my college in 2006. Like you mentioned, I am bachelor's and master's in statistics, and statistics is usually the mother of AI. So hence I started learning about it since 2006. And like I mentioned, I have seen how this field evolved from statistical modeling to predictive modeling to machine learning to deep learning to Gen AI, which was introduced via ChatGPT like 2 years ago to the broader world in the market. So now everything is broadly termed under AI today, but I have been learning, maybe if I have to count back, for last almost 2 decades, and I have been developing as the field is growing over the time.
So speaking about development and growing, and you mentioned about like AI, how it became introduced to the broader world through ChatGPT in the last 2 years, what would you say is the best way to develop the skills needed to succeed in data science, big data, and machine learning for those who are watching that want to get into the field?
It's a very good question, and it has been asked by many students to me till date. If you are studying AI or statistics or any statistical economics concepts, econometric concepts, etc., I would say then have a good grasp on the foundation of it. In fact, even today, many of us don't know the maths behind the AI or even the simple regression equation. So it is okay, you don't need to know it all, but some basics are really good to begin with, along with programming languages like Python and SQL, which are very important languages to learn for AI and data sciences. And last not the least is about basic business domain understanding, where you are trying to apply the AI and data sciences on it. It is very important to understand on why you are building it, what are the goals and objectives for it, who will be using it, where are you going to implement it, when are you going to implement it, because timing is also very important. Actually, I call them 5 Ws framework. This is also the part of the AI framework I researched and built during my doctoral research, because sometimes we forget about the basics, the foundations, and get tangled into that. Sorry. So, if we are clear about the business problems, the 5 Ws, which I just talked about, then the how part, which is about building the AI models, followed by getting the right output, becomes much more easier. So, that's it. Actually, if we think simple and act simple about building the AI, is very important. So, in summary, knowing the basic foundations of the AI, statistical concepts, Python programming, and business domain knowledge and its problems can help you evolve in the AI field for the longer run.
So, knowing the basic concept and evolving in the field and developing the knowledge of AI probably comes with a lot of time, experience, research, and a lot of study, which you have done. But if we talk about AI and someone like you who's a specialist in AI, why is it important that we learn AI? And are there any benefits of being an expert like you in this field?
Uh, Learning AI may become a must in the longer run because it is using your own data, very own data. And it is really important to understand how your own data is used to serve you better through different ways. It may become very important on how AI is built and using that data. But as if you want to learn how this AI is serving you with better efficiency or automation and how it is using your own data, but yes, this is going to be very important about learning AI. And yes, these are the some of the biggest benefits for me to understand and give consent to use my data nicely and wisely.
So, speaking about your experience and your journey in your study, in your field, and in your life, like working for so many years, over a decade, what has been the most exciting and interesting part of your journey, and what did you learn in that experience, and how did you grow from it?
It's a very good question because in the last 14 years of experience in the AI and data science industry, I never felt bored of it because every day is a new innovation. This AI is very dynamic in nature, and thanks to many researchers working towards it and making it simpler and simpler. For example, 14 years ago, when I started building a pricing and a promotions model, then it was really hard to make my own family and friends on what I do or how do I do, etc. But today, if somebody asks me that what I do, if I say AI, then they understand, even ask me with utmost curiosity in learning about AI. Times they have changed. So the interesting part is how it keeps evolving. and becoming interesting across the industry. And the fun fact is, you can apply this AI to anything and any industry. And given that you have the right amount of information and quality of the data. So, in short, this has been really exciting and incredible journey for me, that I have been learning this every day, because every day it has been evolving in a dynamic way, interesting way. The use cases, different companies I really worked with. So those things really kept me going, because I didn't have to repeat much where whenever I have worked, or a day yesterday.
When you speak about your experience and we mention about your journey, the most exciting part, in the day-to-day situations when you do have challenges and obstacles that you have to kind of overcome, how can someone overcome some of these challenges in the field of AI and data science when it's such a demanding field and it's an ever-changing field where, AI and data science and new technology keeps getting built over the years, more will be built. How can someone overcome some of these challenges?
Another very interesting question, I would say that. In fact, sometimes even I thought of it, how much I will have to learn, because this field is so challenging. Challenging in a way, not really because it's complicated or something, because it's changing every day. A new innovation, a new researcher is innovating something every day. So something or the other thing is coming. So when I was at 9 years of experience in my field, I started the doctorate degree in AI and data sciences for a deeper research as well. But then things changed. With Gen AI came into the picture last 2 years, and Gen AI brought the AI revolution in the industry. So my answer would be to keep learning and make it fun. Then only you can keep up to it, because not everything we can learn every time, every day, every moment, etc. Any, because every research is bringing some new of the topics. But it's very important to keep learning and stay up to date. And stay up to date, you can do it in a fun way. For example, like I mentioned before, as well, that how I have seen a statistical learning models, models getting evolved to predictive modeling, and then to machine learning, deep learning, etc., and to today Gen AI. Definitely, it's very important, but the secret is what I have observed, in my opinion. What I do is also strategize the learning in an interesting way, understanding the basics behind it, understanding some of the maths behind it, and to make it fun in a way with different use cases. Okay, I applied this use case maybe in some of my projects 2 years ago, but this is today how it is re-evolved, or remodeled, or re-innovated in a different way to do something like that. For example, I when I was 10 years ago, I worked on a project which is text mining about the Twitter data. Text mining is like you receive language based data, and you need to analyze the keywords, the sentiments analysis. Now they are part of the bigger, broader term of the Gen AI, sentimental analysis, or generating the sentiments out of the text data, whether it's positive or negative. But it is not like that. It is introduced via ChatGPT or Gen AI 2 years ago. It was already existing before. So it's very important to understand how things can be made simpler in its own way to tackle those challenges. So to make it fun in your own way, strategize in your own way, because AI is something which will never stop, and it will keep evolving, keep changing. And it is us, we will have to strategize ourselves in terms of how we are going to learn, tackle with those challenges, how we are using it, to stay up to date with it. Yeah, that's it.
So you mentioned one of the projects which you worked on, which I think is quite interesting actually. Do you have any other examples of notable projects that you would like to share in terms of like what you did, how did you learn?
So another interesting projects maybe I can share with you. I have worked in vast amounts of projects, and my prime experience comes from three different fields. One is retail, which is e-commerce is also part of the e-commerce retail as well. Another is financial services, retail banking or financial services as well. So my whole 14 years of experience are coming from these backgrounds. And the interesting projects which I have worked right before Gen AI came into the picture was like personalization and recommendation engines, building from the scratch and understanding how we are like in one of the games you mentioned me about personalizing your fashion outfit. So that is personalization and recommendation by it can be by ChatGPT or any kind of Gen AI or any other predictive models or Gen AI or AI based personalization and recommendation that can be there. Other interesting project is what I have worked with one of my companies was demand forecasting. Very challenging one because it depends on what kind of industry you are working with, and what kind of products you are forecasting as well. So that really brought a lot of experiences for me, which I really added into my doctorate degree, demand forecasting. And another project was, which was followed by demand forecasting, was dynamic pricing and promotions as well in the retail industry, which was again, how much to buy is one problem, and but at what price to sell, or what are the promotions we should have it for our products as well. That is another interesting project I really worked on. Another interesting project, if I have to go way back, is propensity models. So it is like mimicking some of the behaviors of our customers to find lookalikes in a bigger pod, in a bigger population as well. Like, okay, if the 100 people are interested into my product, but out of 1 million, can I find another 1,000 or 10,000 who would be lookalikes, 200 people who would be interested to my products? This is how we work on at the AI side, is helping in the sales revenue conversion, growth in the sales revenue conversion as well. But the good side, which I really like always, is which I dealt with say since day one, is one is the data quality. Make sure you have right good data quality as well, and ethical use of the data is very important. Responsible and ethical use of the data. Since Gen AI came into the picture, it became more talk of the town as well. It's very important how responsibly and ethically we are using data into our all AI models. So, which is a big topic these days, and people are talking about it. And I'm really glad that we are really talking about it, because AI can do a lot of things, but it is on us how we are using this AI in automating stuff, in making processes efficient, in helping sales, operations, growth, revenue, or in fact, enhancing customer experience, customer user experience like ChatGPT, because ChatGPT is like end user using ChatGPT, but how responsibly or ethically ChatGPT is built as well, it's very important. And I'm sure they are also taking care of it, because it's really social responsibility for each one of us who are building AI, have been in the industry, is very important to understand the what should I say, like, the drawbacks of not using a responsible AI. So it's very important. So in short, I would say that I have worked on many projects, but the fascinating ones will keep on growing and growing as well. That's very important. Gen AI, I'm now looking into the picture as well, like from text mining, how it involved, to natural language processing, um, to now Gen AI sentiment analysis or text completion or conversational chatbot AI, etc. Yeah.
Absolutely, I totally agree. And those were key points that you mentioned. And AI is something that is going to be really important. You can do a lot of things, like we mentioned. And taking the audience back to a point that you said earlier when I asked you about how to um, stay up to date, how to overcome some of the challenges you mentioned about like keep learning, just never stop learning in the introduction. You also mentioned about being a learner. and someone who's watching this who wants to read a book on it or maybe like research about it, do you have any courses, books, or websites that you recommend to someone watching this that wants to learn and grow in this field?
I would say there are no single books, courses, and website today because where I come from academically, we used to have books and some dedicated books to learn from it. But how we have grown into our social media presence as well, things have grown. So there's so many online content trainings are available, but finding the right ones are very important as well. But if you really want to follow, watch, and learn, I would say that the Deep Learning with AI, hosted by Andrew NG. He's a well-known AI and computer scientist and who has tie-ups with big tech firms as well in producing authentic and relevant training content on AI for many years, or many relevant people. The credibility is very high, I would say that. So recently, in fact, I completed a course on generative AI with large language models conducted by AWS with Andrew, which is having the right amount of relevant training information to learn about Gen AI. And if you already know about AI field, so it is a really easy course. I would say that it was easy for me. At least you'll get to know how easy they have made it to learn and apply Gen AI, because uh, this concept, actually Gen AI through ChatGPT, I would say that it really brought a chaotic revolution about AI, in my opinion. And uh, people, now it's our responsibility to bring a right amount of the education, learning, and the training to make things simpler for everyone to understand what Gen AI is, what's the capability, how they're using it, how the data is used as well, how ethical and responsible it is as well. So maybe find out the relevant and authentic and credible scientists, researchers, and there's so many white papers as well. If you are like Google Scholar or any other research websites as well, you can find it out. So many white papers are also available to understand how this field is, growing and learning about it.
Thank you for mentioning that. I think my audience really appreciates the books, the courses, the website, and we'll look into the one that you did, and I'm gonna definitely highlight that in the comment section below. So thank you for sharing that. And if we talk about AI, we're talking about present day, and we mentioned about your journey, the past, your experiences. But looking in the future, where do you see the future of AI in the next 10 years going to?
That's a very tricky question, I would say that, because I know the future is promising, but it can be dangerous too if we don't apply a responsible and ethical AI, which is the talk of the world these days. And since the Gen AI has come, but never know, Gen AI, it may get evolved into something else. We are also talking about these days a lot of AI agents from different use cases to one or the other thing. In fact, RPA, robotic process automation, is also like getting under AI as well. So there is a broader use case of AI, not just Gen AI, I would say that. And who would have thought 10 years ago that Gen AI, or in fact, much 5 to 7 years ago, like Gen AI would come and will change everything. So this field is very promising, very creative, making things automated and efficient in every possible way. So never know what I'm talking right now to you. So in my opinion, the only thing is that let's use AI responsibly and ethically, and let us be the AI master and make it our assistant, and rather AI becoming our master. Yeah.
So, it, like we mentioned in the introduction about like driving innovation and data, and someone like you, like we mentioned, a lot of times you have expertise in data science, big data, and data in general. What are some of the first steps that we need to take to drive innovation to data?
Understanding the business and its data is very important to drive the innovation. out of it. Hence, the data analytics. I want to emphasize on this word. The data analytics, or I should say, business data analytics skill is very important, and how you are reading that data. What are the take of the business stakeholders on that data analysis? And then driving the efficiency based on that, whether it is about increasing the sales revenue, conversion, cost optimization, enhancing customer experience, marketing, operational strategies, etc. It depends. Hence, to start driving the innovation, the first steps is to understand the business and its customers via data analytics. And it is usually the first step in building an AI model and should be dealt with utmost importance.
If we speak about your education and you have a great educational background, graduating from a great university, having bachelor's, master's, and a doctorate degree, if we talk about your specialization in AI and data science, why did you choose to specialize in this field? And what did you hope to achieve when you chose to pursue your doctorate degree?
Wow, it's a very good question. In fact, I started to think as well when I was doing this doctorate degree, but I was very clear about it. Which let me tell you what I was thinking at that time. But given that I have been in this field of AI and data sciences or statistical modeling or statistics since day one of my college back in 2006, and day one of my job in 2011, starting with building the pricing and promotions models. So, like I mentioned before, that I have seen this field completely evolving in the last 19 years. If I have to start counting from 2006, wow, almost 2 decades, right? Long time. And I felt the need of researching about the thought leadership and strategy behind AI, and the researching about the methods and the ways of building it efficiently for all kinds of standard use cases across industries. And hence, I thought of elevating my learning to keep up with the pace of dynamically evolving AI while working full time in the industry. And it was really a lot, sometimes for sure. But sometimes I thought why I'm doing it. But I did it in the hope of understanding the foundational concepts ever about this AI research, leadership, strategy, transformation, and applying it simply at work without making it much complicated. Because yet many people have still yet to learn about AI and apply AI in their businesses. And I'm glad that I was able to complete it successfulully. And thanks to my leaders, my professors, my peers, my team members for the support. And now I'm willing to support and contribute back in my full capacity. So I'm just in the hope that whatever I did, I'm able to apply it in the real world in full capacity.
So we mentioned a lot about data science, AI, and we talked about different skills, but we didn't really go in particular detail about your skills and what has helped you the most because you've been giving a lot of advice and stuff. But if we speak about you in particular, what skills of yours do you possess that makes you a strong person in the role of AI and data science?
If I have to sum it up in one line, my skill, what I do the most is think simple and act simple without complicating the stuff. And it starts right from the foundation. That's what I believe in. If your foundation is strong, if you're thinking simply, and if you're acting simply upon it without complicating the stuff, you can do a lot of things. Because if you know your data, your business and tech concepts, foundational concepts and strategies, then keeping it simple is very important because it is a practice. But don't worry that you will be able to achieve it or not. But that is one skill I try to practice and have more confident about it so that I can innovate better and better in this field.
So we talked a lot about AI and data science, but moving away from that, Toastmasters is something that I know you are happily a part of, and you're a distinguished Toastmaster, like we mentioned in the introduction, it's something you're passionate about. But if we try and relate the two together, the AI and your field, your roles, your experience, how can people watching this be a better communicator to excel in their tech role coming from you as a distinguished Toastmaster?
I would say that, let me repeat once again as well, like what I summed it up in the previous question. I want to repeat it again. Think simple and act simple without complicating the stuff. This is an art and a skill because when you are dealing with data, you are dealing with millions of the records. And sometimes you get tangled into it. You are getting tangled into what kind of the message you want to give out of those millions of billions of records, right? Or out of the model results, how you're doing it. To be a better communicator is very important in the tech role, especially. I know some people might not agree and they will say that, oh, maybe we can work and behind the scenes, etc., in building, writing the codes, etc. That's it. That's their personal choice. But if you want to present your work, sell your work as well. So it's very important to start thinking simply and acting simply as well upon it, because models can be complicated, but it is on us who are building it complicated. But if we are a really good communicator, bridging between tech and business in the right way, then the communication is very important, right? So think simple and act simple, and that comes in practicing as an art, and that's where Toastmaster really comes into the picture and helps a lot.
So, on a similar note, when we mentioned Toastmasters and we talked a bit about being a better communicator in excelling in the field of the tech role, something that you do as well is mentoring in public speaking. So, how would you say mentoring in public speaking supported your growth in all areas of the science that we touched upon and in driving innovation through data?
So, but I would say that it's interconnected with Toastmasters as well. Like I mentioned before, communication is a very important aspect. For example, um, in many previous questions, we discussed about foundational aspects about AI concept, Python programming, and business domain knowledge as well. But however, in my experience, if you get those three aspects right, but if you may not be a full-fledged successful, but because communicating those aspects are very important, especially in the today's world, the right communication in a right way at the right time is very, very important, and without complicating things for self and anybody. Hence, I started practicing public speaking through Toastmasters or many various channels, because understanding the critical ways or dealing with it has been really important. And it helped me to think more simply. Like I know, like I have been repeating this, think simple and act simple, because I have been following this for many years, because it helped me to think simply and act more simply with more clarity. I want to add this word here: think simple and act simple with more clarity, of course. And I'm not sure if you're aware that if your mind is at the calm stage and not entangled, then innovation comes at its best. And with not just that public speaking, I also practice spirituality with that, to bring more clarity and more simplicity in whatever I try to do with the data or the innovation or the communication, in fact, as well, like what we are doing right now. So public speaking, mentoring others as well, because what I have learned from others, I try to give it back to the society as well. And that's how it keeps growing. Like, for example, we are doing right now, same I have done in my companies with my teams, etc., and going back to the Toastmasters as well, where I got something and contributing back to the clubs or countries or the divisions, like that. And that's how it reflects back into your own personal life as well as professional life, and driving innovation not just through data or any aspects of the life, I would say that.
That's awesome. And it's great to see, like you mentioned, the link between the different Toastmasters in your field, and like you mentioned in the previous questions, some of the insights that you've given. And I think throughout this whole interview section of the podcast, you kind of touched upon all these key ideas, and I'm sure my audience is gaining a lot of insight based on someone like you who's experienced and has a lot of expertise in this field. But as we are approaching the end of this interview section of the podcast, I would like to ask you one question, which is if you could voice one unique message to the world, what would it be?
I have been talking about this message, which is think simple and act simple, but I don't want to repeat this again because I think it will be a lot overwhelming about this message. I want to talk about one simple thing, which is this is for anybody and everybody, and for myself as well. What I have been following and doing it, being passionate, being interested, and being focused while learning and trying to make it fun in your own ways is very important. And most importantly, keeping it simple while learning or while doing anything. It's very important why I'm saying that because like when we were kids, we used to have fun and learn faster. Same should apply when we are grown-ups, but sad part is we stop keeping things like that, and in fact make our lives more complicated, and that reflects in our works, in our innovations, in our projects as well. So I would say that passion, interest, focus, simplicity, and fun while learning or doing anything, be it AI or data sciences or any other thing you are doing, is very important. So just be passionate, be focused, and be interested about it, whatever you do. Yeah, that's my message to the whole world.
Thank you for sharing that message. And thank you so much for your time once again on today's episode of the podcast. I
Thank you
thoroughly
so much.
enjoyed. No,
Yeah,
no,
same here. Hope I was able to answer the questions, which should be meaningful and helpful and supportive for especially the younger generations who are going to listen the digital podcast over the
abs
years. Yeah.
absolutely. I'm sure that my audience gained a lot from your unique insights, your unique voice, your unique message, and your journey. And it's been inspirational for you to share that with everyone on this platform. And to my audience who's new to the channel, if you haven't already done so, please make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video if you did find it interesting. And I'll see all of you for the next episode, so stay tuned. Goodbye.